problems, and the measure was very striking to me that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala finally regulates all these things. And there was another point.
Thank you.
That's it. Okay. Okay, go ahead. Somebody else, please.
Is there someone else who would like to say something? So who would like to say what Sura means for her?
Assalamualaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Yeah, I missed last class, but I went over it again. And one of the words that I've been pondering upon was the one that says that the fact is that Allah never changes the condition of the people until they intend to change it themselves. And I feel that Surah so far has been, emphasizing a lot on not to get stuck in causal and effect relationship. For example, we can easily lose ourselves in blaming like external factors, and we can really get stuck in that, and then really not even think about ourselves, like what is it that we need to analyze within ourselves. And then for example, you have 2 plants, and then you're planting them, you're cultivating it, you're watering. The same example we're using, you're watering the 2 plants with the same water, but then one of them grows well, the other one is not, and then you think, oh, but I've been watering both of the plants with the same water, what's going on? And then, so basically you can easily, and this is what happens to us as well in our daily life, you just easily get stuck with the object itself, or the thing itself, instead of doing an introspective analysis of yourselves.
Thank you all very much. That was a nice start. So now should we continue, Yamina? Then I would give the word to you.
Thank you, Andrea. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والحمد لله رب العالمين. والصلاة والسلام على رسولنا وسيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. So thank you very much for all the beautiful sharing. Maybe we can use this as an opportunity maybe to stop and reflect on all that we've learned so far from this beautiful surah, and connect in our minds and in our hearts what is connected. There are things that are connected out there, but we're not always aware of the connection. So when we are asked to connect, is to become aware of the connections. And you probably made the connection. I'll start with the apparent connections first, between the first ayah of Surah Al-Ra'd and the 19th ayah. So our assignment started from ayah 19th, and then 20 and 21. And in Surah Al-Ra'd, the first ayah was Alif Lam Mim Ra, تلك آيات الكتاب والذي أنزل إليك من ربك الحق ولكن أكثر الناس لا يؤمنون. So it says Alif Lam Mim Ra, the disconnected special sign letters. Those are signs. Tilka. Those are signs of the book. وَالَّذِي أُنزِلَ, and what has been sent to you from your Rabb, from your sustainer, is haqq, is the truth. However, most people do not believe in it. And this أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ الَّذِي أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ مِنْ رَبِّكَ الْحَقِّ, whatever has been sent to you to the Prophet ﷺ, and right now to us, it's being sent to us if we are ready and willing to accept the sending, is haqq. And in the 19th ayah, it says, أَفَمَنْ يَعْلَمُ أَنَّمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ مِنْ رَبِّكَ الْحَقِّ كَمَنْ هُوَ أَعْمَى, is the one who knows that what has been sent to you from your Rabb is the truth. The same, is he like someone who is blind? So the comparison here is the one who knows that what's been sent to you from your Rabb is haqq. And in the first ayah, it was saying to us that what has been sent to you is haqq. So we know that it is haqq. And the whole ayah is like, okay, just like from one perspective only. It reminded me of a demonstration in maths, for instance, or in physics or something. In sciences, if you want to demonstrate something, you start with your with your conclusion, sorry. What you know is right, but you need to demonstrate it. And then you demonstrate it using all the things, the facts that you have. And you go back and say, you see, that was true. So here in ayah 1, it says that we are told that what is sent is haqq, but most people don't believe. And then it goes on and telling us, showing us how it is haqq and why they don't believe. And why they didn't believe was, I think was Fariha who pointed to the people who are stuck in the apparent causal relationship and not seeing that they are actually the connection is an ayah connection. It's indicative. It's indicating some deeper connection, something beyond. It's something in the ghaib. And so those who do not see that, they're stuck in the apparent, and they don't believe. Even when they think they believe in God. We'll go back to that in a moment, because they don't see everything as yet, all the fine-tuning and all the examples you all gave. So for instance, we know that they asked for miracles, it says at one point. And with miracles, they meant special events, like something extraordinary, as though everything else that we may think is ordinary is something is not as miraculous, as if it's because we take it for granted, because they take it for granted. If someone is aware that everything is special, everything is an ayah, they wouldn't ask for something even more special. Or they won't ask it in that way, at least, not as a challenge, as if they needed an extra evidence, because they can see that everything is an evidence of rububiyyah. So the first ayah connects directly to the 19th ayah. And if you remember the first ayah, we had connected it at the beginning to an ayah at the end of Surah Yusuf. In Surah Yusuf alayhi salam, in the 103rd ayah, it also says, وَمَا أَكْثَرُ النَّاسِ وَلَوْ حَرَصْتَ بِمُؤْمِنٍ. And most people, even if you desire it, if you want it, they won't believe. They are not believers. And in the same Surah Yusuf, actually, that's how we decided to carry on with Surah Ar-Ra'd. If we may remember, Surah Yusuf is the 12th surah, and Surah Ar-Ra'd is the following surah, the following chapter in the Quran, which is the 13th surah. And the next ayah says, and how many a sign, how many an ayah in the heavens and on earth they passed by, turning away from them. وكأي من آية في السماوات والأرض يمرون عليها وهم عنها معرضون وما يؤمن أكثرهم بالله إلا وهم مشركون.
So you mean which verse is this?
105 and the next one is 106.
This is Surah Yusuf.
That's how we decided to come to carry on with Surah Al-Ra'd.
Okay, thank
and
you.
so where it's saying that they see the sign, they go past by the ayat in the heavens and the earth. So we're not talking about the ayat of the Quran. And they pass by them and they don't take them seriously. Because remember, one of the main teachings of the Quran is whatever is going on in the world is rububiyyah. It's an activity that is evidence and indicates alam al-ghaib and makes their ayat Allah, their signs, making their Rabb known, making the Creator known. Because otherwise we get attached and connect to the world for itself, in itself, without ever connecting to its real, I wouldn't say cooperative, it's the reality, what it is, its real purpose of being, the purpose of its existence. And so that part is transient, impermanent, and if we can't see anything beyond that, so all we do, all our life will be something that will be like the froth and the scum of the water, the running water, and or the metal when it's heated to separate it from the metal, the ore from the scum, the unwanted. There will be nothing in our hands. So it's very, very important. And so here, when it says that they see the signs, but they in the heavens and the earth, but they don't take them seriously. They don't. They turn away from the signs. And he says, وَمَا يُؤْمِنُ أَكْثَرُهُمْ بِاللَّهِ إِلَّا وَهُمْ مُشْرِكُونَ. So it's not that they do not believe in God. It's that they believe in God always with associating others with Him, always with shirk. Because the only way to believe in God truly, wholly, 100% is when we are aware that everything is an ayah. Because if it's not an ayah, if water is not an ayah, it is the one that is giving me life, giving life to the earth, and therefore it is a partner to God in His divinity, in His giving life, in His being a sustainer and everything. And we gave other examples like money, which also, actually money isn't only valuable to us because it's the means to get other things. And so it means that things are important for us because we see them, we view them and perceive them and interact with them as though they were disconnected from their source. And that's only possible because we ourselves are disconnected from the source and from ourselves. And if you remember the last ayah of Surah Yusuf alayhi salam, it mentioned ulul albab. It says لقد كان في قصصهم عبرة للألباب ما كان حديثا يفترى ولكن تصديق الذي بين يديه وتفصيل كل شيء وهدى ورحمة لقوم يؤمنون. So it's telling us that the stories, because there are so many sub-stories in the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, they are instruction, and there is a lesson and instruction in them for ulul albab, which has been translated as people of insight, people of understanding. So it's interesting that it ends with like who are the ones more likely to benefit from the story of Yusuf alayhi salam? Ulul albab. And if you remember, last week we stopped and reflected a little bit on who are these ulul albab, and we realized that they are also those who know that the message sent to the Prophet Muhammad والسلام, is haqq, is the truth, because they are connected to themselves and to their needs. Because remember, al-bab is the plural of lub, and lub means the gist, the gist of the gist, like the core of something. And so they are those who are aware of their core, the core of a human being. And our core, at the core of being a human being, are needs. That's all we have to claim for ourselves. Everything else is given. And we have those needs, and those needs and our vulnerability is what makes us human beings, and what makes us valuable, and what makes us connect with everything else. If we had no need for food, no hunger, then food wouldn't mean anything to us. If we had no hunger for knowledge, no curiosity, then the knowledge could be all there, all the information wouldn't mean anything to us. So this core and the lub of human being is this our being vulnerable and needy. And when we are connected, when we are aware of our lub, when we are connected to ourselves and to our needs, then the possibility of connecting to everything else starts. There is that possibility becomes a reality, may become a reality, because the first thing we can do is to connect to ourselves. And once someone connects to oneself, then they can connect to God, to our Rabb, and to others in His name through His connections. And one example that for me is makes things a little bit easier to grasp, maybe, is a telephone. Like if I take now my telephone, I can call any friend, anyone in the world. Like, so if I believe, if I think, just because I can call anyone all over the world, that my telephone is connected to all the other phones in the world, I will be mistaken. That will be my illusion, and those who know will smile at me, like how naive. And they say, okay, if you want to know, disconnect your phone and see what happens. My phone is connected to everyone else because it's connected to the main, I don't know how you call it, is it a satellite or something like that? And it is through that main central satellite that it's connected to everything else. And when I'm disconnected, when I don't pay my monthly dues, that's it. There's no line, and I can't get in touch with anyone. I do not have a direct connection with anyone, and so it is in life. That are connected to themselves. This is how I understood so far, and to their needs, and so they are aware that they are totally dependent on their Rabb. And totally dependent means in their breathing. The breathing is really powerful for me because it's very accessible. I don't have to think a lot I just stop, breathe, and see that that's it. The connection is here. Everything else has meaning only if I have life, if I can breathe and have life. And unfortunately, we forget that most of the time. We forget that breathing and life is the most precious ni'mah, the gift that we have. And so through breathing, seeing, hearing, speaking, drinking, eating, chewing, just go on, swallowing, digesting, and everything. We are totally dependent on our Rabb for everything. And Ulul Albab are aware of that because they are in touch with that core, with their needs. And so they know that they are receivers. They are near receivers of divine gifts. I mean, I'm saying near receivers, but now it doesn't sound like, oh, actually it is an honor to be the receiver of divine gifts. And also it's like, all that burden that I had in my illusion, that I have to achieve things and fulfill this and do this and that, and how are people going to see me, all that is all nonsense. We're all receivers of divine gifts. So instead of worrying about that, let us just stay there and reflect and enjoy the gifts and share with the others, and in praise of the Razaq, of the Mun'im, of
Dr. Yamina, if I jump,
who is blessing us. Yes.
if I may jump in with a small metaphor that sprang up in my head as you were talking about the phone. You know, once I had purchased an iPhone, but I hadn't connected to any service. And for a while it stayed with me. I was going to give it to someone, you know, overseas, and then so on and so forth. And so finally, after a year, I wanted to get it, you know, opened up to service, and it needed to be unlocked. And the person said, "So what do you do with this phone?" Well, I said, I use it for, you know, alarm, and you know, it has a couple other things. But he was like, you know, why would you not connect this? You know, this is a phone. So
there's a calendar in it.
Yeah, there's a calendar. You know, you can put an alarm. It can show the compass. You know, it has functions. But at the end of the day, the difference between that kind of a dead phone where it does some things, but it doesn't actually connect me to anybody. Voice or text in no way, versus a phone that's connected, and how much we get excited. Oh, finally my phone has service. Finally I can call people. Finally I can connect. That is actually an you know, almost like, I don't want to put it too heavy, just a metaphor. So similarly, like when we shy away from surrendering to our sustainer, connecting with him and turning to him, admitting our vulnerability, and thereby you know, connecting with him, it's an honor. But the parts in us, like our ego, says, no, I don't want to get service. You know, I don't want to connect to something other than myself. I want to be, you know.
I mean, I can
a small metaphor.
Independence, but I am not. The reality is that I am not. Whether I want to be or not is completely irrelevant.
You're right. I mean, the metaphor has limits. Like in that case, you can disconnect and still make use of the phone. Whereas in reality, you cannot not be connected to God. We are. It's just being aware versus not being aware of that connection. Anyhow.
Yeah, but your metaphor makes sense, because even when we are not aware, it's really like the service is very limited then. We limit it, actually. Yeah, thank you. So, and it's an honor to receive the gifts of Rahma. Why we usually shun away from that? Because as you just said, Isra, just you mentioned, because connecting to our Rabb means first connecting to my needs and accepting them, accepting my needs and vulnerability. And it is easy to accept them when I understand their meaning, when I understand their function in my life, when I understand that what makes us human, what makes us so have all this potential to connect to everything and everyone, to empathize with everything and everyone, is precisely because of those needs. So for some reason we have decided on our own that needs means bad, we want to get rid of it, but actually it's not. Like, even if your aim, if someone's aim in life is to enjoy themselves, well, if you take your needs away, you're not going to enjoy anything. Less need means the less need, you become like a rock. A stone doesn't have as many needs as a human. The higher the level of life, the more needs. So that's also an honor. And through the needs, we receive the divine gifts. And so when we accept that, like here, Ulul Albab, then they are also aware that they themselves cannot do anything, and they are not doing anything. Illa bi'idnillah. How would you say? Illa bi'idnillah. How did we translate that? Except with God's, by God's leave. As the messengers, when they performed the miracles, they performed bi'idhnillah.
Can you say again the Arabic? So this only by God's leave. What did you say?
Illa bi'idhnillah.
Thank you.
So by God's permission as well.
Yes?
By God's permission. I remember you mentioned that.
God's permission, God's leave, God's will. Yeah.
Okay. And I also wanted to clarify on this, the Ulul Albab. Is that, so what is that actually? So you said that it's the core of human beings.
The lub, the core.
Okay, the lub is the, okay.
So Ulul Albab is the core, the plural of lub, and in the Quran it's only used as in the plural because it doesn't say the person of the core, it says the people of core. Ulu is an expression in Arabic, like those who are, usually translated those who have insight, those who understand, because in the Quran, the gist of understanding, or the seat of understanding, the place of understanding, is also in the heart. Some people saw it as a function of the heart, the lub, the innermost heart, as if. But in any case, it is the core of something. It means core. It means kernel.
Okay, so in this verse, Ulul Albab, it means people who pay heed, who pay attention, who are aware.
Ulul Albab pay heed. Ulul Albab do this and that. Ulul Albab itself is usually translated in different ways, as I said, as those who have insight, those who have true understanding.
Or could we say those who are in touch with their innermost core?
I would say that's clearer to me.
Okay, that makes sense.
So closer to the Arabic original. Those who are in touch with their innermost core.
Okay, cool. I like that. Thank you.
And so they do, like they do this, they do that.
Yamina, how about Akhal then? The Akhal, heart is lub, is the seat of Akhal or the brain?
So
where do we think, use of Akhal, Akhal is intuition and capability of reasoning. Akhilun, from Akhal I'm saying. Yeah, that is used in the Quran for, this is my favorite topic, I'm so sorry to go back to it, but it is a verb, right? It is always used as a verb, so I thought that would be a function of the brain. But then Halb, Fuad, and Sudur, all those are nouns. So
Sister Isma, in the Quran, as you said, yeah, it's used as a verb, and it is used for the heart. It says, لَهُمْ قُلُوبٌ لَا يَعْقِلُونَ بِهَا. They have hearts with which they do not يعقلون, they do not reason. So it's actually a function of the heart. However, as I had said last time, like here, heart does not mean necessarily the physical heart.
I know that. It's talking about spiritual heart, not,
And so when you talk about the brain versus the heart, that's beyond my expertise. Maybe it's something that you can research and one day, inshallah, share with us, inshallah.
So the afal, which is used as a verb, is also a phenomenon of the heart, right? That's what you're saying.
Yes. In the Quran, it's also a function of the heart.
Yeah. And then on the Fuad, I had one question when you mentioned the verse that Musa alayhi salam's mother's Fuad was fariqan, right? Which is translated as void and empty. But I wanted to ask, why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala use this word when her heart was full of emotion? Why was it empty?
But there is when it's so full that you can't feel anything, like if you dread sometimes you if we say I am fearful, it means I'm aware of it. But if I how would we say, like you get paralyzed so much, you are so much in fear that you get paralyzed, that at that moment you don't feel the fear, because feeling the fear, it means I'm still in control of it. When it engulfs me and controls me, I can't feel it anymore. Like it seems like it's void, because it's not fear in my heart. It's like I am in the fear for a moment, until I step out of that. That's how it feels when it's a great fear.
Like you get numb to,
Yes, yeah, exactly. And so what we've been talking about up to now, these ulul albab, they are the ones who consciously act in the name of God. Be Bismillah, Bismillah. But I want to emphasize be Bismillah, in the name of God. And that name could be different names. You remember, they repay evil with good. So they are muhsins. So, and muhsin is the name, ihsan is the name and a quality of the divine, of God. But they do it in His name. They're like consciously reflecting and mirroring their Rabb's qualities, and they respond, because they're conscious, they respond with gratitude, with praise, with hamd. And so all this is an acknowledgement of their being abd. If you being ulul albab, being aware of your needs, leads you to an awareness of being abd. And therefore, the more we are aware of that, of our ubudiyah, the more we are aware of the rububiyah that is everywhere. There is nothing that is not that is outside the realm of rububiyah, including my breathing, my drinking water, and the Quran so far, the examples given are, yes, it started with the heavens and the earth, but then it gave all specific examples, and all from daily life, things that we take for granted, that we think they're small. But there is nothing small or big, because the smallest thing needs as much power and knowledge and everything to be in exist, to exist, as much as the biggest one. They are big and small according to us, in relation to us, but in themselves, they're all interconnected. You can't have one without the other.
I don't know if I can ask a question on this topic, because I reflected on this one. The question was, why the salah and the zakah, are mentioned in the end and other things in the first place, like, the keeping the covenant and joining things which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded, and all those things are mentioned before, and in the end comes the salat and the, the zakah.
Yeah. MashaAllah, yeah.
For Muslims, it would be the other way around,
Mm-hmm. And that's why they do not forget their connection and bond with their Rabb. Remember, they are the one who do not forget. They are the only one who do not forget. In some ayat it says. So, because they are connected to their humanity, then they can be muhsins. Right. They can be compassionate. They can empathize with others. And that's why at the end, in Surah Al-Ra'd, when it describes Ulul Albab from 19 to 21, the assignment, then it says they repay, at the very end, they repay evil with goodness. But most people, most of the time, forget. It says most people do not believe. Why they don't believe? It says in Surah Yusuf, they believe, but always with shirk, always with associating other things with God. Remember, Tawheed is not believing in one God as opposed to 2 or 3 or 4. It is believing in one God, one here, meaning 100%. 100% mathematically is one as well. Whole, wholly, everything. When I'm drinking water, the drinking, my feeling satisfied with it, my thirst being quenched, everything is pointing to only one source, one Rabb. And that's why they do not forget the connection. But when we are not connected with ourselves, then we're more likely to forget. And then when we forget the connections, when we forget that everything is an area, then our belief is going to be deficient. It's going to be a belief as though we don't believe. Like we believe in God, but always with some shirk mixed up in it. And that's why it shows up in our lives.
And I think for me, actually, the key point was vulnerability. So we are so needy and so vulnerable, and everyone is that. And the key of being connected, I think, for me, is really to not get over that, to just accept that I'm needy and vulnerable, and everyone is like this. If I think of myself, I think at the minimum 80%, 85% I'm feelings. I mean, I'm doing mathematics, so you could imagine I come up with a different number, but it's really not the case. And most of it is really neediness. So I think for me, the key of not losing the connection is to accept that neediness and to just go like with that vulnerability through the day.
And you see, Andrea, this is only the first step. It's good because that's where we all start. That's as if we're still negotiating. Like in the beginning, we say, okay, it's okay because everyone is vulnerable, so I'm okay. However, after a while, I should get over it, and who cares if they are or they are not, because my vulnerability is my most precious thing. It's what makes me who I am.
Yeah, and to celebrate it. I mean, to
be grateful for it.
Assetness.
Otherwise, it means the I have an illusory I that I'm identifying with, and that's why I'm not connected with the real me, who is the needy, and I am making up an I that is knows this, does this, looks like this, and it's all a made-up I. And that's why I'm never in touch with the reality, because if I'm not in touch with myself, how can I be in touch with anything really? And it's when I give up that I don't feel, when I understand the value and the significance of our needs and how valuable it is, and that's what makes us the Khalifa, that's what makes us connect to our Rabb, that's the gist of our ubudiyah. Then we get back and say all those, and we start slowly, it's a process, letting go of all those illusory images that we felt the need for, because we won't feel the need for that anymore, inshallah. When we have that connection, the need to connect to myself as someone, for instance, strong. You are strong bi-idhnillah or not, but I don't need to make myself look strong and make myself believe that I'm strong, because I'm so scared and I don't have anything to rely on, because I don't have that connection with my Rabb as a reality. I believe in God, but He's not my Rabb. Either myself or something around me. For some people it's money, it's family, whatever that is, something, a source of strength outside our Rabb. And then say, oh, alhamdulillah, even those, like let's say it was family, it was money, that was all from Him as well. Something, and it becomes even like, oh, a big relief, alhamdulillah. So I will enjoy those things even more now, because I don't have to clutch onto them and be scared of losing them anytime. Now I'm going to use them and enjoy them and connect to them and share with them if there are people, bi-idhnillah, in bismillah, in the name of God. And they become mirrors and ayat reflecting the divine names and Isma al-Husna, and they become even more beautiful, even more valuable. And all that reflects in our lives. I mean, if we take, if what is sent by God, by our Rabb, is haqq, is the truth, then we would take it seriously, and our lives would be, we would live our lives accordingly. We'll keep in mind that everything is impermanent, everything is passing, everything is transient, and we won't try to hold on to them. And so in themselves, they are useless. They are significant because of their area aspect. And then we start relating to everything from that aspect. Otherwise, our life will, the outcome of our life will be like the froth and the scum of the water and the metals. And so if we truly believe that whatever is being sent is haqq, then we would always keep akhirah in mind, and all our choices in life, our priorities and everything will change overnight. Actually, we'll be keeping ghaib in mind. What we see right now is not the source of reality. It is only the flow of what is being sent to us. Subhanallah. And so these ulul albab in ayah 20 of Surah Al-Ra'd, they are described as those who fulfill God's pledge and do not break the covenant. In 21, they connect and join together what God ordained to be joined. and stand in awe of their sustainer and fear an evil reckoning. And in 22, they are patient in seeking the countenance of their Rabb, the things that look to their Rabb. They are constant in establishing the prayers. They spend on others out of what we provide for them as sustenance, secretly and openly, and they repay evil with good. And so you see, we have to start by fulfilling God's pledge first and not break the covenant, and then go on, and then being constant in establishing the prayer. And the prayer is also a means of connecting to our Rabb, will become possible and easy, and not only easy, but something we long for, something we need, something we appreciate. It's like someone who is hungry appreciates food, and this is food for the soul. And unless I am aware of those needs, I don't see what need is fulfilling. So it doesn't, I don't taste it. It doesn't taste good. And we mentioned last week that these ulul albab in different parts of the Quran, they are described as وَمَا يَذَّكَّرُ إِلَّا أُولُو الْأَلْبَابِ. And who keeps things in mind, who remembers? Only ulul albab. Subhanallah, it's very, very, very strong. And in the last ayah of Surah Ibrahim, it attracted my attention because the first and last ayahs are very important. It's like the last point in Surah Ibrahim, and Ibrahim alayhi salam is the father of Tawheed. It says, هذا بلاغ للناس ولينذروا به وليعلموا أنما هو إله واحد وليذكر أولو الألباب. This is a balagh, a message, not discourse, something that is meant to reach you onto all humankind. Hence, let them be warned and let them know that He is the one and only God. He's the only one worthy of worship, the only one worthy of adoring and being attached to and loving. And let those who are in, and let ulul albab take this to heart. وَلِيَذَّكَرَ أُولُو الْأَلْبَابِ. It's interesting that in many very important situations, the God is saying it's a message for all, but this is, who will take this seriously? Ulul albab. They are the one who will get what this message is about. Subhanallah, it's like an invitation to all humankind, and also particularly to ulul albab. And in another place it says, كتاب أنزلناه إليك مبارك ليدبروا آياته وليتذكروا أولو الألباب. A book, a scripture we send down to you, blessed, so that they reflect over its ayat, signs, and that ulul albab may remember, may keep this in mind. Subhanallah, like special mukhatabiyah, like addressees. And in ayah 19 of Surah Al-Rad, it says, إِنَّمَا يَذَّكَّرُ أُولُو الْأَلْبَابِ, which means only the ulul albab will keep this in mind, will remember this. And it says the same thing, the same expression in Surah Al-Zumar. Surah Al-Zumar, it says, consider the one who devoutly worships God throughout the night, prostrating himself or standing, ever mindful of the life to come. Because that's very important. If I am not mindful of the life to come, then my prayer is not going to be tasted. It's not going to satisfy my heart, because my heart is busy with the world, with the transient. It's not even aware, conscious of what it's doing, and hoping for his Rabb's rahmah, for his sustainer''s mercy, say, can they who know and they who do not know be equal? But only ulul albab will keep this in mind. You remember in Surah Al-Ra'd also, it gives us parables and then asks us questions and then says only ulul albab will remember.
So
And in yes?
I'm sorry, I just wanted to clarify something about ulul albab. So, like those people who are in touch with their inner self, is that like a prerequisite for becoming a muhsin, or?
Okay, I'll ask you back the question. Do you think it's possible to be a muhsin without being with oneself?
No, you have to be in sync with yourself first to become a muhsin.
Being ulul albab is like the prerequisite necessary condition, right?
But okay, but then I don't know. I'm just wondering. Then you can even like get yourself. Just, I mean, just you can just stay in that stage.
Yeah, maybe like that's why in some ayat it is an invitation to ulul albab. I mean, but if someone is truly in touch with themselves, they won't stay there if they are not going to accept it. If someone rejects it, if it's too, if it hurts, if I am not willing to surrender, then I don't stay in that state long. I will just go out of it. I leave it immediately because it becomes unbearable. So, yeah. But does it mean that ulul albab don't need the guidance of the Quran? Not at all. It's just saying here that like they are the prime audience. Like, you know, in the classroom you have those who sit at the end playing and those who sit at the front ready to learn. Ulul albab are those at the front.
Okay, thank you. I understand that. Now, I had another question about covenant and pledge. What is the difference in between the two? So,
yep, inshallah. In Arabic, you mean one of them is mithaq, the other one is ahd. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to. I had one question on the loop that you were about. You know, could it be that the flood of the ulul albab is more sensitive, activated? Like I've noticed in my experience with human beings that those people who are more sensitive, which includes most of the women, they take things in general very seriously, while some people have this insensitivity that fuad is not that, So could that be another point that ulul albab, they are using more of their fuad, they are more sensitive about things, and that's why they take things seriously, especially the ayat?
Personally, I think it's a matter of being aware of things. Like either everyone has something is going on in their fuad, especially in some situations, but we may it's either a matter of fitra, that we say some people are more emotional or not. It doesn't mean that people who are not do not feel emotion. It's just they don't show it in the same way. So, and also just because I am more sensitive doesn't mean that I connect to them and relate to them as ayat. I may be stuck in the emotion itself, and it may rule me. So it's neither a plus nor a minus. It's what I do with it consciously that's going to make the difference, I think. And I would relate it to the ismi and harfi, and it's true for everything else, how we perceive things. And that perception, of course, is a choice I make consciously, which is where the intention comes. So being sensitive could be used positively if I make a choice accordingly. But if I don't, then it may even become a burden, if you see what I mean.
And also there is selectivity of, in sensitivity as well. In some things, people are more sensitive than the others.
True. That's true.
And also, I just wanted to make a footnote here. When we talked about Fuad last time, we made key reference verse was Musa alayhi salam's story where أصبح فؤاد أم موسى فارغة. Moses' mother's heart, Fuad. And there are other verses also where the term Fuad is used, and that in those verses it says to the Prophet ﷺ that we نثبت به فؤادك, so that we will make your heart grounded. So it is used as a reference to women, and also used as a reference to the Prophet, who happens to be a man. So that was also helpful for me too, because I also thought initially this is about emotions, and then I was I wasn't sure why it's so important to. I mean, we have emotions. Everybody has emotions. So why is it so important to be in touch with them? But then this is emotions in the broadest sense, not just intense emotions, but emotions in the broadest sense, and that inner side of human heart where we sense things in a deeper way. Allahu Alam, that's how I understood.
I mean, that's how we relate to the world. Everything is from one perspective, it's through emotions.
But also, from brain point of view, women are more emotionally wired, compared to men. So that was the reason I asked the question.
Mm-hmm. So the words were the covenant and the pledge. The covenant is mithaq, and the pledge is ahd in Arabic. And mithaq is from wathaqa.
We're looking at verse 20 in Surah Ra'd.
Yes. Where was it? It says الذين يوفون بعهد الله ولا ينقضون الميثاق. Those who fulfill God's pledge, God's ahd, and do not break the mithaq, the covenant, in ayah 20. And then it says وَالَّذِينَ يَصِلُونَ, which is to join, to connect. And so mithaq is from the root wathaqa. And wathaqa is shackles, bonds, to tie up, cure, to trust, and also to pledge or to give one's an important agreement. So it's something very, how would you say, solemn, like something important, a covenant. And it appears 25 times as, like most of the time, as mithaq. It's a noun form. There is an ayah, for instance, in Surah Al-Ma'idah, where it says, وَاذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ وَمِيثَاقَهُ الَّذِي وَاثَقَكُمْ بِهِ إِذْ قُلْتُمْ سَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ عَلِيمٌ بِذَاتِ الصُّدُورِ. So remember the ni'mah, the blessing which God has bestowed upon you. And the pledge.
Can you give us the numbers again?
The ayah is Surah Al-Ma'idah,
Surah 5. Verse 7.
Yeah, and it's just to see another usage of mithaq. And so remember the blessing, the ni'mah, which God has bestowed upon you, and the pledge by which he bound you to himself. But actually, in the Arabic is the pledge by which he pledged you to himself, or the bound with which he bound you to himself, because it's مِيثَاقَهُ الَّذِي وَاثَقَكُم, the noun and the verb. But in English, it's not easy, so it's been translated as the pledge by which he bound you to himself. However, mithaq also, actually the first meaning is bonding. When you say we have heard, so where is this pledge, this bonding? We have heard and we pay heed. Hence, remain conscious of God. Truly, God has full knowledge of what is in the hearts. Here, sudur, the plural of sadr. And here, it's interesting because it says, Kuru ni'mat Allahi, not ni'amillah, not the plural, but the singular. And it's has been understood as a sign to the uniqueness of the blessing, the uniqueness of the source of the blessing. Like the blessing, whatever you think about it, whether life of health or food or water, there is as though on it a signature, a stamp that this is God made. No one else can make it. No one else can give life. No one else can give health. No one else can create anything, let alone food or water. And so that's why it uses here Allah uses the singular to emphasizes here the point is not the diversity of the ni'mah, but the uniqueness of the ni'mah, of the blessing. And so
you mean the quality, right? Instead of quantity.
Yeah, maybe we can think about it that way.
So covenant here with this context have to do with like me as a person not attributing any deity quality to.
Look what it says after that. How it starts. Uzkuru, remember, keep in mind. I mean, isn't the ni'mah continuous? Isn't it flowing to us constantly? Yes or no? Without interruption, life breathing without interruption is coming to us. But who keeps this in mind? Ulul albab. The rest of us, most people, akthar al-nas, most people, what do? It means they forget. But look at the rahmah. Look, this ayah itself is a ni'mah and is a rahmah, because it said, "Uzkuru ni'mat Allah." He is giving us ni'mah again and again. Allah is reminding us to remember, which means it's also an indication that we are prone to forget, which also means that it's okay when you do forget, do not lose hope. Instead of losing hope, just make istighfar and make tawbah and get back and renew your mithaq, renew your pledge to remember the ni'mah and be grateful for it, and to live as a conscious abd. So here, the mithaq is to remember the ni'mah, part of it. اذكروا نعمة الله عليكم وميثاقه. Wa can be and therefore, because it's part of the mithaq, part of the pledge, to be grateful for the ni'mah. It's not, I haven't made any pledge like that. We enjoy it, we want more of it. Whether we agree or not, that's how we've been created, and we do appreciate the ni'mah. So keep the pledge, to remember and keep the pledge is to be faithful to it, is to remember that it is ni'mat Allah, that it is from God, and so to be faithful to Him, not to the ni'mah itself. We don't have a pledge with the ni'mah. We don't have a bond or a connection with the ni'mah directly. And ni'mah is coming from Him so that we connect to Him, so that we get to know Him. So it is a messenger.
So the covenant is my contract with the Creator, and the pledge would be that I will seek, like I'll keep finding Him, or I'll keep finding the truth.
Yeah. And my heart wants it, and my soul needs it, and everything in me is longing for it. And I say, I'm playing around like a child. And then I cry, and I say I'm sad, and I'm depressed. And he says, just Azkuru, here is the solution. Remember, keep your pledge, and remember the source of the blessing, and you will find everything. That's what you need. It's for us. All this is for us, not for God. The pledge is like He does not need our pledge. I need it. But الذي واثقكم, in Arabic you also can understand it that He bound you. He like inshallah it's not misunderstood, like a mother bonds with the child. Allah has a bond with all his ibad, with everyone. However, when I'm not aware of the bond, I am the one who I'll be the loser. I'll be on the losing end because I'm the one who benefits from it. And ahada is a little bit different. It's ain hal da ahada, and also in this area, in area 20, it appears as a noun, which means agreement. It also has sometimes the meaning of past experience. It also means bond, and the verb ahida is to bond, to connect, to join together. And so in ayah 1987, it says لا يملكون الشفاعة إلا من اتخذ عند الرحمن عهدا. On that day, on the day of judgment, none will have the benefit of intercession of the shafa'ah except he who has, in his lifetime it means, entered into a bond with the Rahman.
Sorry, which verse was that, Dr. Yamina? Which verse?
1987. And عند الرحمن عهدا, some of the companions of the Prophet والسلام, radiallahu anhum, they interpreted the bond with God here as the realization of His oneness, the bond of Tawheed. This bond can only, it's the bond of Tawheed because it's only when I become aware that everything comes from one and is pointing back to the one that I bond back. And of course, for me, the implication is that each one of us bonds with his Rabb first. And through my bond to God, to my Rabb, I start realizing that nothing exists outside that bond. It's like a matrix. That's Rahman here because it's talking Rahman, especially it's using this name of this quality of God, of Rahma. And Rahma has the same root as Rahm, which is the mother's womb. So it's like we are all in the same womb, the womb of Rahma, of the divine mercy. And in that bond, it's only when I realize my bond with my Rabb through that Tawheed that everything is coming from one and pointing to one, then I realize that everything else is like me. They exist only through Him, and their existence it mirrors and indicates His rububiyyah. And so they are not supposed to make me forget my Rabb. but to remind me of him, because we become like all the creatures, not only human beings, all creatures on earth. We become like brothers and sisters. We become like siblings, the creatures of God, all benefiting from the same rahmah, all as needy, as vulnerable, animals and plants and everything. And that's why we only use them Bismillah, otherwise we can't harm anything, because we respect them, and we empathize and we connect and we bond with them in the name of God, in the through the bond that we all share with the one God. It's a beautiful ayat. This is ahad.
And that's beautiful, subhanAllah.
SubhanAllah. Yeah. So back to Surah Al-Ra'd, we have, it says, is someone who knows that what has been sent to you by your sustainer is the truth, be the same as the one who is blind. Only ulul albab will keep this in mind. It means they will not forget. And it's not like they are forcing themselves to not forget. It's like not I have to force myself to not forget. No, because they are in that state of, they cannot forget. I mean, if you identify as being a doctor, when you go into the hospital, you don't forget, oh, it's so difficult to remember that I'm a doctor. It's a hal, it's a state of being first. And then it says, for those who have responded to their Rabb, there is the best, al-husna. And for those who do not respond to him, sorry, oh no, this is 18. Sorry, 20 is those who fulfill God's pledge and do not break the covenant. So these are ulul albab, and who connect, who join together what God ordains to be joined, and stand in awe of their Rabb and fear an evil reckoning. And this evil reckoning here, Su al-Hisab, the Hisab here appears in 18, in Ayah 18, when it says, for those who do not respond to the call, who do not, it will say later in Ayah 25, who break the covenant, who do not bond with their Rabb, then their reckoning, their hisab is, they will have a very terrible reckoning. And reckoning hisab here is from muhasaba. You know, when you make your own hisab, you're supposed to do it before it's done for us in the hereafter. We're supposed to every while, here and now, and some people do it actually every day, to examine their conscience, maybe you can say, like to examine and look through all what I've done and what was behind the feelings and the thoughts and the being. Who was I when I was doing this? If I was angry and shouting, who was I? Certainly not ulul albab, certainly not a muhsin. I was in ghafla, I was a ghafil. Do I want to be a ghafil again? Then I have to do something about it. It means I have to make conscious choices. And in the beginning, it's going to take some effort, but afterwards, it will become my way of being. That's how I am. Here in 21, when it says, and who connect and join together what God ordained to be joined, the joining has been sometimes understood to refer to all ties, you know, human relationships, to human ties and human relationship, like the bonds of family, responsibility for orphans, for the poor, for how you behave with your neighbors and everything. And this is certainly included in the bond. But from what we understood up to now, this bond is much, more comprehensive. It does include all this, of course. From the previous ayah of this surah, there is from 20, those who fulfill God's pledge. It's clear that the context is much wider. And the previous ayat that we read and that you all referred to at the beginning, which are all about the so-called natural phenomena, about the world and the universe, where we realize that everything and all events and all beings, including human relationship, including my eating and drinking and walking and thinking and seeing, are all ayat, all signs indicating a bond with their maker as their Rabb, and therefore reminding me of my Rabb, my bond. So when I look consciously around me and see that everything is an ayah, that's why seeing everything as an ayah is very important. The difference between shirk and tawheed, definitely very, very, very strongly emphasized in the Quran, because it's the gist. Without, there is no true, full, complete tawheed if I do not interact with things as ayat. So instead of becoming an obstacle to remember my bond, they remind me. If I ever forget, they remind me, because I see how they have that bond with their Rabb. They point to it. And so it makes more sense to read يَصِلُونَ مَا أَمَّرَ اللَّهُ بِهِ أَنْ يُوصَلَ as referring to all the bonds that exist between all creatures, all creation, as a universal Rabbani, let's say, brotherhood, as ayat to rububiyyah, as creatures for ibadullah, as all worshippers and praising, celebrating the same God and all his beautiful attributes. So it's like we're part of a celebration, all, or like an orchestra and concert, and everyone is playing a different instrument, but the same part of the same. What do you have in an orchestra? The same concert, the same. I don't know how you'd call it. And so, what God ordains to be joined here can be understood as applying to the requirement to remain conscious of the unity of purpose of all of God's creation, of all of us human beings, all of us creatures of God, as ayat, as ibadullah. Inshallah. And so the next ayah says, and those who are patient, وَالَّذِينَ يَصَبَرُوا ابْتِغَاءَ وَجْهِ رَبِّهِمْ, in seeking the countenance of their Rabb. So you don't see the face of God. You see the face of things that look to their Rabb. You see things as ayat, reflecting, as mirrors reflecting the qualities of their Rabb. And they are patient. They don't just give up. Even when things look very ugly. Where is the beautiful Wajh Rabbi in here? They don't say that. They stay there. It's here. It's here. Just my perception is what I question, not the facts out there. And they are constant in establishing the prayer. Subhanallah, can you see where it comes? Because that prayer, what do we say in the prayer? Ihdina as-sirata mustaqim. He says, Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. We, only you, sorry. You, we, only you, we seek for, we worship because we only seek help from you. We can only seek help. So there is that ulul albab quality coming in. Being aware of our needs and being aware that there is only one source of fulfillment, one source to go back and seek help from. And they spend on others after what we provide for them. Of course, now it's easy. Not only we would like to spend on others because we empathize with the needy, because we know that we are all in need, and we know that what has been sent to me is not only for me, it's also for the people around me. And also I want to celebrate with them. Look, our Rabb is taking care of us secretly and openly. And those who repay evil with good. Because they know, because they see, like Yusuf alayhi salam, the good within the evil. They see wajh rabbihim. They see, I'm conjugating like as if see is in Arabic. They see wajh rabbihim in everything. So they see the good in everything. So even if the other party meant evil, I know that they can't, that evil cannot reach me. Illa bi'idhnillah. And if I pray, it won't reach me, inshallah. It will be transformed to good for me. It is they who shall find their fulfillment in the hereafter. Subhanallah, subhanallah. And that's what everyone wants, because that's the hereafter is the عقبة الدار. Here عقبة, it means the ultimate. عاقبة is the consequence, the end, the result, the destiny, the fulfillment. Here is the ultimate fulfillment. The dar usually refers to dar al-akhirah, the last place we are going to, our destiny. Our destination, our last destination, they are going to have the best last destination. Subhanallah. May Allah make us of those who have عقبة الدار إن شاء الله. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم، وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. وتب علينا يا تواب يا تواب. نستغفر الله نستغفر الله نستغفر الله العظيم الكريم الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم ونتوب إليه سبحانه. آمين. والحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now this time we had already a couple of discussions or contributions during the session. It was nice. But maybe if we have just maybe someone who didn't talk until now, if you want to say something. And if not, I would like to ask Yamina, what is our homework for next week? Because it was so beneficial to have one.
Maybe from 18 to 20. 25. If you can prepare ayat 18 to 25, inshallah.
Inshallah.
There's going to be a change in 25 to those who who break their bond with God.
Yeah, that's nice. And then I don't know if there's not no one who wants to speak at the moment, then maybe I would like to close for today because it's already late. How do you feel? So if someone wants to say something, please go ahead. I don't want to stop someone. I just feel like we talked actually already a lot, and there's more to reflect on than to discuss at the moment. But maybe just because I'm tired.
I just wanted to say that I appreciate really today's session, and it's a long way from what I used to understand from this verse, or this kind of verses that talk about connecting, joining, what Allah has ordered us to join. And I used to go with the very popular gloss that says to join family relations, and that's it. And this really completely gave a new look at those verses. It's not. It includes, of course, family relations.
Or let's say the family became much wider. Everything is our family.
Yeah,
in that sense.
yeah, and then it became under the umbrella of having that connection with our Lord, sustainer. What is interesting for me, one of the things that came to me was, maybe we can explore it next week because of time, but in verse 20 when it says استعوذ بالله الذين يوفون بعهد الله ولا ينقضون الميثاق, they those who are true to their bond with God and never break their pledge, their covenant. It's interesting. The second part of the sentence is negating a negative behavior. But the first part is saying those who are faithful to their bond with God and they do not break the pledge. They do not break. It doesn't say they uphold, but it says they do not break. I think there's something interesting there about the first part being a positive statement and the negative. The second
actually, 2 points. One is that we can only break the bond. We cannot actually forge a bond that is not already existing. And the second one, as you said, maybe is like, the fact that we being consciously fulfilling the pledge, because we may think we are fulfilling the pledge, but it's almost like telling us, are you sure you're not breaking the covenant?
Very, very helpful. These two are very insightful points, because there must be something in that negating the negation. This is helpful to think that way, that we don't forge a bond, we just unbreak the already formed bond.
Nurture what's already there and take care of it and make sure we're not destroying it.
Yeah, it's a given. So maybe we'll come back to this next week when we go back to the opposite of this attitude in verse 25. But yeah, Jazakumullah khair. Thank you.
And also, Dr. Yamina, we did not discuss about types of misaq. You had told us to prepare, different types of misaq in the Quran, like the Allah's one, and we didn't discuss that. Do you want to discuss next time? I mean,
depends on
misaq, different kinds of misaq from the Quran.
I usually don't get into the details unless something is going to help right now, because it.
But I enjoyed the last week's, it was so enlightening. The different stages of, the levels of qalb and, that was really enlightening. So thank you so much, Jazakallah, for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. It seems like I'm the only one tired here, so that was nice, very nice contributions. So inshallah, see you all next week.
Next week, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair.
Assalamu alaikum.